Hello, this is Noob 3D Printer and welcome to my channel. In front of you is a picture of Spirit Blossom Ahri. She's a character from the game League of Legends. I did this over a few days to practice this skin painting technique that I wanted to try, and I thought, hey, why not record it and share it with you as well. We start off with a primer. This is just a simple gray primer, and you can see that the clothing is already done. I decided not to show you that. Next is just the skin tone primer. This is what I use as the base color, and I just coat it pretty evenly all around. Next is something called transparent red. I use it to try and add a splotchy sort of texture to the skin, as well as add some underlying gradients. And I've got this sped up at around 400 to 500%. Next, I think I use a transparent brown this time, just to add more splotchiness and more texture. These are all Vallejo colors. Next is a transparent green that I'm trying to add to where the sort of highlights might be, just to break up the redness a bit with a cold sort of tone. Next I've got transparent blue, which I'm trying to put some blue in where I expect the shadows and crevices to be. Next, this is just a basic skin tone, acrylic, so this is a non-transparent color. This is the main skin color, I would say, of the skin tone. Now once that's done, I choose an even lighter skin tone color, and I add that just to the highlight areas, like the cheekbones, like the top of the shoulders, sort of the most interior part of the breasts. And then after that, I pick a sort of pinkish color, and I just want to add some more, gradients to the skin. So I'm adding a little bit of pink under the neck, around where the eyes are, in the armpit area, and between the breasts. Next is just painting the eyes. It's very sped up, but all this is the same gray primer that I used to prime the model initially. And I use a very small brush from AliExpress. The size is 50, so 00000. And it's the smallest that I've been able to find so far. There might be smaller sized brushes, but this one is probably small enough. And I'm using very thin layers of primer, and I go back and forth and back and forth. Now it's painting the eyebrows and so on and so forth. It's important to be very delicate while you're doing this. Next, I've skipped forward here. I choose a fleshy pink sort of color to paint the lips. Now in hindsight, I actually regret this. I think the final result is a bit too bright. And you can even see, I think you might expect the lips to be a bit darker, but here they're almost too light. And you're using very small amounts each time as well. Now here, I take a syringe, I fill it with water, and I'm trying to dilute this paint. Now what you saw there is transparent red, and I've got that really diluted. You see I just drop one drop into that moderate volume of water, and I dilute it even more. So what am I doing here? I'm making sure that the paint is very, very, very thin. You can't do this with a normal Vallejo paints. You have to use the transparent range. And I'm adding some redness around the eyeball, around the edges of the eyeball, some redness. And I'm doing this very, very gently and very slowly. You don't want too much red on at once. You'd rather it dry. You'd rather very dilute sort of red solution dry, and then apply more and more to layer on top, rather than try and get it all done with one very, very concentrated red. You want many thin layers. And because I said earlier I didn't like how the lips were so light, And so I use the transparent red here as well to try and darken it up a bit. And I actually go overboard. I don't show this in the video, but I would go back again and again and again in the future between all these different steps. I just go back and try and add some more red to the lips, and I actually end up overdoing it because of the sort of the liquid solution of how dilute the paint is. It ended up sort of running down the mouth, and I had to clean it up with some flesh color later on. And then I skip forward. I'm just sort of painting in the eyes here, what will become the irises, and then some blue. That's how I usually paint my eyes. It's very basic. It's nothing too complicated. Just black, you know, the black to show where the iris will be, and then, you know, put some blue in and finish off with a white highlight. And here again, I'm diluting some transparent red, and I've decided to add it on to the cheeks to make a sort of blush effect. And here the video is sped up, but not as sped up as maybe the speed when I'm showing the priming or the airbrushing, because I want you to see how sort of where the red solution goes, where the red paint goes, and because it's sped up, you can see it dry in real time. And I don't know if you can appreciate this, but there's a, you know, I go into different areas, and by the time I'm done with one area and move on to the other and done with that area, the first area is dry again, and then you can continue layering more and more red. And just slowly just adding more gradients to the skin. Now why can't you just do this when you're airbrushing? Wouldn't airbrush be faster? Yes, airbrush is faster, but you also lack some control. You cannot be as precise with the airbrush as you can be with this very small brush. And also with this sort of wet painting technique, I'm not sure I can call it that, but you can see let's just call it the diluted painting technique. It is not as smooth as the airbrush, and sometimes that's what you want, because skin is not always you know, completely perfect. And the brush adds some texture which may actually work favorably for the effect you're trying to go for. And then I just let the model tell me where to put the red. I'm not too creative with these things. Wherever the crevices are, under the neck, between the breasts, that's just where I put it. And at the same time, I'm also testing it on my thumb there. You can see I'm painting on my own hand, just to make sure that the the brush isn't overloaded with the diluted paint. And slowly you should be able to see the redness is starting to take form as you build upon it iteratively. Next, after this, I have some photos that I want to share that shows you how it looks in between the various stages.
You're alone, you're on your own. So what? Have you gone blind? Have you forgotten what you have and what is yours? Glass half empty, glass half full. Well, either way you won't be going thirsty. Count your blessings, not your flaws.